am Stephen Gantapal from BS Mari Emundi, and I am from Group 3, and our topic is all about material or economic self. So we have two main objectives about this topic. First is to learn about material and economic self. Second is to differentiate the self-description and self-perception. So material or economic self. This section focuses on how people maintain extensions of themselves through material possessions and the preservations of specific lifestyles. This section discusses how an individual acquires goods, the factors that shape his or her economic decisions, and what these things say about one's sense of self in the context of what society values as needs and wants. So people are likely to purchase products that can relate to their personality. A discussion of the potential relationships between materialism and several economic variables, including use of money, work motivation, and giving, and materialism. All the physical elements that reflects who a person is, such as body, clothes, money, family, and anything we have. So this leads to material possessions. So what are material possessions? Anything that you possess becomes your property is called material possessions. It is something you can touch and keep safe for as long as you want. If a person is too attached to his material possessions, he is said to be materialistic. Possessions tells about their owners. Thus, one's sense of self-identity is influential on how an individual chooses to purchase his or her wants, and how he or she makes economic decisions that will address his or her personal and social needs. So according to William James, the material self pertains to the objects, places, or even people which have the label mine. The self as everything that an individual considers to be his or hers, not only his or her body and material possessions, but also his or her reputation and beliefs. And so the self is the manifestation of one's identity through his material possessions. So according to William James, we are defined by the clothes we wear, our houses, cars, and even our pets can serve as our identity. It indicates one's social status, and the more expensive and luxurious your possessions are, the more people are impressed. John Hesketh. He is a British writer and lecturer on the economic, political, cultural, and human value of industrial design. According to him, design combines needs and desire in the form of a practical object that can also reflect the user's identity and aspirations through its form and decoration. Design reflects the personal identity whenever the person is designed matters from the smallest things and presentation. Roland Barthes. He is the first one to observe the relationships that people have with objects, and in particular look at objects as signs or things which could be decoded to convey message beyond their practical value. In 1950s, he popularized the field of semology, or the study of objects as signs. So anything that conveys meaning is called sign. He revealed that everyday objects are not just things but a complex system of signs which allows one to read meaning into people and places. What people increasingly produce are not material objects but signs. So, however, the most important factor is determining whether these items and services fall under wants and needs. So, wants is the synonymous with luxuries. These are the people buy them for reasons that do not warrant necessity, while needs, these are important for survival. Example, food, clothing, and shelter are basic needs, so people purchase them out of necessity. In the process of acquiring material goods, People generally consider these two things, utility and significance. Utility is concerned with how things serve as practical purpose, while significance is concerned with the meaning assigned to the object. It is also concerned with how objects become powerful symbols or icons of habit and ritual, which can be quite separate from their primary.
Economic self. Economics, defined as the study of things that a person is lacking, of how people make use of the things that they have, and of making the right decision. Now it comes over economics, it is very important on our decision making because it is uh, because economics is very important of our country. The condition of the person, group, or region as regards of material prosperity. Now, in economics, it is very important of the group of each what do you call this? Each statement you listen by their comments and their opinion, not just fact, but you must work as a team. Economic self-sufficiency, the ability of individuals and families to consistently meet their needs with minimal or no financial assistance or subsidies from private or public organization. The said people includes food, housing, utilities, healthcare, transportation, taxes, dependent care, and clothing. Now, determinants of economic self-sufficiency. 1. Job stability. Individuals have sustained employment. Now, in economics, this is very important, job stability, because more job, the sustained of employment, the economics, there will be growth economics. Now, educational attainment. Individuals reach their employment goal through academic vocational achievement. 3. English literacy. Individuals have the ability to speak, read, and write the English language. Now, this English literacy employers must know how to speak language because we're dealing this business now. Business is business. We encounter foreign people, and we communicate through English language. So we must know or fluently speak in English. Family structure. The stability of families and attributes of parents in development of positive behaviors and healthy relationship. Health disability status. Individuals with physical, cognitive, mental, sensor, emotional, or development capacity concerns participate to the fullest extent possible at school, at work, or through meaningful daily activities. Last and foremost, community connections. Individuals have community relationship to people, organizations that bolster self-sufficiency, or in the case of youth, future self-sufficiency.
Engineer Ernel Endino. What are the 5 components of our material self? So 5, the components of self-concept are identity, body image, self-esteem, role, and performance. So, in short, the self-concept is also known as a genuinity of a person. It is the reason why we are different from each other. It is the components of our identity. So, personal identity is the sense of what sets a person apart from other. It may include the person's name, gender, ethnicity, family status, and occupations and roles. So next. What is the most important part of your material self? The body is the innermost part of the material self. Each of us and certain parts of the body seem more intimately ours than the rest. So, the important of our material self is the body is the main identification of oneself. The body represents the physical being of a person. On the other hand, there are some parts of our body in which we can easily be identified and for example, a mole on our face or a birthmark or and more instance that will classify us from others. So what are the components of material self? The material self is comprised of our body, clothes, immediate family, and homes. So, components of material self, this explains the impression of other person towards us. What others sees in us is what they thought of us. What we do also is how others judge us. What is material self? Reflection. A material self is made up of everything that a person owns, like his or her car, house, clothes, even her family and friends. Somehow, material self is also a reflection of someone's success or failure, or a symbol of one's social status. So, this explains the impression of other persons toward us. What others sees in us is what they thought of us. What we do also is how others judge us. So, next, how does the material self affect a person? It affects in our self-esteem, your confidence level, and the self-concept. A person's self-concept helps them define who they think they are, how they fit into the world. So, self affect a person. How does the material self affect a person? This opens to this topic. Failure to see our worth lead us to depression and anxiety. This opens the door to comparison and insecurity. That is why we should learn to love and value ourselves. Learn to accept criticism, but do not rely on the opinion to others too much. And self-acceptance will allow you to realize that we are uniquely different from each other and that we are made to be special. So, what is a material self? The material self, according to William James, pertains to the object, places, or even more people which have the label or mine. Such possessions are viewed as extensions of individuals' identities. For instance, your clothes reflect certain aspects of your personality, and you designate them as my wardrobe. So, as to William James, material self represents the things that the person has an authority to. What is self an example? A material self is made up of everything that a person owns, likes his or her car, house, clothes, even her family and friends. For example, I owned gadgets, shoes, and clothes, and all of this will be a contribution to my material self. So this can also be like to William James' perception. It pertains to the materials that a person owns. So next, what is self in social self? Those aspects of one identity or self-concept are that are important to are influenced by interpersonal relationships and the reactions of other people. See also public self like social identity. So we can perfectly fit this one to the saying that goes like, tell me who your friends are and I will tell you who you are. So next, what is social self-example? A social identity theory, our sense of self, is influenced by the groups we belong to. Another social influence on our self-esteem is through our group memberships. For example, we can gain self-esteem by perceiving ourselves as members or of important and valued groups that make us feel good about ourselves. So that is why we should choose who to make friends with. Choose people who will help you grow and make better version of yourself. Thank you.
So, the role of material objects in self-description and self-perception. But first, what is self-description? Self-description is the way in which you describe or talk about yourself to the world. For example, when you describe yourself to others as fun and creative. Self-perception is a person's view of themselves and of any mental or physical attribute that makes up the self, or it is how we see ourselves and the characteristics that makes us who we are.
Good day, guys, especially to my teacher. My topic is role of material objects in self-description and self-perception. So, self-perception and self-description about a material object is different. Self-perception on a material object is an image we hold about an object and its uses or purposes and the judgment we make about those material or objects. So self-perception includes two things, which is our self-concept or the picture we have in our minds, which is what object it is and what it is, and also our self-esteem on how we judge and evaluate the material or the object. So the other is self-description. Self-description on an object is when describing an object or being or providing a description of a material object, shedding self-consciousness about the object by its exact description of a material object, which includes the purpose and its uses. So, for short, self-description about an object is the exact description on what all the people are basing. Thank you.
So, good day, sir. My topic is all about role of materials, objects in self-perception and self-description. So, self-perception and self-description about a material object is different. So, self-perception, a different beliefs we have about ourselves, exert a powerful influence on the kinds of activities we engage. For example, the amount of effort we will spend on that activity and the likelihood that we will engage in the activity in the future. The purpose of this entry is to unpack and review different aspects of self-perception. This understanding will allow us to develop interventions and educational programs to intervene when maladaptive patterns in understanding of self. So, self-description. Description or SD text, also called as the self-story writing or self-appraisal, is another effective and substantial tool in the hands of psychologists to acquire confirmation of the findings already recorded about candidates' personality. Every individual has his strong and weak points, good qualities, virtues, and tolerable traits. shortcomings, and vices. Most of these traits are reflected in one's normal behavior and therefore exposed to others. But there are times when we try to conceal or suppress sometimes qualities from the public eye. However, these are certainly known to ourselves. Therefore, a self-description includes writing a paragraph in the following aspects: parents' opinion, teachers' employers' opinion, and self-friend's opinion. Thank you.
What's up? I'm Aaronson Sas Bismari M1D Group 3. I'm going to present about implication of position or lack of them for self-esteem and the feeling of well-being. Implication of position. Position is the state of having something or something that is owned. An example of position is for person to have their mother's case in their pocket. Another example, position is a person's favorite necklace. Position is the most basic important relation between man and a thing. The four essential elements of the position: intention, knowledge, physical, control. The normative implication of position of the okra or the capacity for rationality is that the entity is entitled to an irreducible respect matched by irreducible rights like that negative right not to be killed unjustly or the positive right to be give what is needed to sustain life. Lacks of them for self-esteem. Low self-esteem is when someone lacks confidence about who they are and what they can do. They often feel competent, unloved, or inadequate. People who struggle with low self-esteem are consistently afraid about making mistakes or letting other people down. Self-esteem is your opinion of yourself. Everyone lacks confidence occasionally, but people with low self-esteem are unhappy or unsatisfied with themselves most of the time. It takes attention and daily practice to boost a low self-esteem. Causes of low self-esteem: ongoing stressful life events such as relationship breakdown or financial trouble. For treatment from a partner, parent, or career. For example, being in an abusive relationship, ongoing medical problems such as chronic pain, serious illness, or physical disability. The feeling of well-being. Well-being, also known as wellness, prudential value or quality of life, refers to what intrinsically valuable relative someone. So the well-being of a person, what is ultimately good for this person, what is in the self-interest of this person. Well-being can refer to both positive and negative well-being. Well-being has been defined as the combination of feeling good and functioning well. The experience of positive emotions such as happiness and contentment, as well as the development of one's potential. Having someone control over one's life, having sense of purpose, and experience positive relationships. Four main type of person well-being: physical well-being, economic well-being, social well-being, development, and activity. Physical well-being is the ability to maintain a healthy quality of that allows us to get the most out of our daily activity without undue fatigue, or physical stress. Economic well-being refers to its ability to demand and services in relation to its needs. Relation well-being is a sense of belonging to community and making contribution to society. Emotional well-being means feeling good, being happy, experiencing positive emotion like love, joy, or compassion, and feelings generally satisfied with life. Development and activity are strategies to gain knowledge, skills, or abilities. These are specific action, relationships, tasks, or program for employees. That's all. Thank you.